Imagine a child born into a world of instability and trauma, destined to become one of history's most chilling monsters. This was the beginning for George Haigh. Born in the early 20th century in the year 1909, Hay's life was marked by turbulence from the start. His early years were fraught with difficulty and hardship, laying the groundwork for the chilling tale that was to unfold. The seemingly ordinary young man would grow to become a figure of terror, his name synonymous with one of the most gruesome methods of murder ever recorded in criminal history. Haigh, however, wasn't always the acid bath murderer. His descent into the abyss of crime was gradual, a slow slide into the darkness that would ultimately consume him and claim the lives of several innocent victims. His childhood, though marked by instability, gave little indication of the horrors that lay ahead. But as Haigh grew older, subtle signs of his emerging dark nature began to surface. His fascination with the macabre, his disturbing disregard for the sanctity of life, these early red flags were harbingers of the terrifying destiny that awaited him. And then, in the 1940s, Haigh's dormant darkness awoke. It was during this time that he embarked on a reign of terror that would stun the world. Employing a method as chilling as it was effective, Haigh would lure his victims into his workshop before disposing of them in a way that he believed would erase all evidence of his heinous crimes. As Haigh grew older, the darkness within him began to take hold, propelling him towards a horrifying destiny. The birth of a monster had taken place, and its chilling tale was just beginning. The seemingly ordinary man had become George Haigh, the acid bath murderer, a name that would echo through the annals of criminal history. A chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. The 1940s, a decade marked by war and uncertainty, also saw the rise of George Haigh's reign of terror. As the world was grappling with the horrors of World War II, Haigh was creating his own battlefield on the home front in England. Haunted by the specter of his traumatic childhood, Haigh developed a sinister plan to capitalize on the chaos of the era. He began luring victims into his workshop, an ordinary space that he had transformed into a macabre stage for his gruesome acts. These unsuspecting individuals were drawn into Haigh's world under the guise of business transactions or social visits, unaware of the chilling fate that awaited them. Haigh's method of disposing of his victims was as horrifying as it was unique. His weapon of choice was not a knife or a gun, but a barrel of sulfuric acid. He would dissolve the bodies of his victims in this corrosive substance, reducing them to sludge in a matter of hours. He believed that by completely eradicating their physical existence, he could erase all evidence of his crimes. But his assumption was flawed. While the acid did destroy much of the physical evidence, it couldn't completely erase the traces of his victims. Fragments of bone and dentures resistant to the acid were recovered from the sludge, providing investigators with the crucial evidence they needed to link Haigh to the crimes. Haigh's reign of terror spanned across 5 long years from 1944 to 1949, during which he claimed at least 6 lives. His victims ranged from wealthy widows to his own acquaintances, consumed by his insatiable greed and macabre fascination with death. Haigh believed he had found the perfect way to erase his crimes, but he was gravely mistaken. Although his gruesome methods initially baffled investigators, they eventually served as his downfall, leading to his capture and subsequent execution. His story serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity, a tale that remains etched in the annals of criminal history. As investigators began to uncover the horrific truth behind Haigh's crimes, they faced challenges unlike any they had seen before. The acid bath murderer, as he would later become known, had a method of disposing his victims that was as chilling as it was cunning. Haigh believed that by dissolving bodies in sulfuric acid, he could erase all evidence and evade justice. George Haigh was not a man content with typical methods of crime. His perverse ingenuity led him to a macabre solution that would forever etch his name into the annals of criminal history. His choice of sulfuric acid was not random. It was a calculated decision, born from a twisted mind that understood the destructive power of the substance. Sulfuric acid, a potent and deadly compound, is known to eat away at organic material, leaving little behind. Haigh's ghastly use of this corrosive substance was intended to obliterate his victims, to erase them from existence. And for a time it seemed that his horrific strategy was working. But even the most meticulously planned crimes have their flaws. As detectives delved into the gruesome details of Haigh's murders, they began to uncover evidence that contradicted his belief of being untraceable. Tiny fragments of human bone and dentures resistant to the acid were found in the sludge that remained after the acid baths. These discoveries, coupled with the suspicious disappearances of several individuals linked to Haigh, began to form a damning picture. The evidence was mounting, and the net was closing in. Despite Haigh's best efforts to destroy all evidence, his monstrous acts were not as invisible as he had hoped. The acid bath murderer had underestimated the power of dogged determination and scientific fortitude. The investigators, despite the challenges they faced, were able to piece together a complex puzzle of horror and deceit, bringing Haigh's reign of terror to an end. Despite his best efforts to destroy all evidence, Haigh's monstrous acts were brought to light. The acid bath murderer was finally unveiled, proving that no matter how dark the crime, justice will always find a way to illuminate the truth. In the face of overwhelming evidence, Haigh's attempts to plead insanity fell on deaf ears. The courtroom was a spectacle as people from all walks of life gathered to witness the fall of a monster. George Haigh's trial was a landmark case, not just for its gruesome nature, but for the unique challenges that it presented. Despite Haigh's insistence that he was mad, the jury saw through his facade. The man who had so callously taken the lives of others was not insane. He was simply evil. The trial was a masterclass in the pursuit of justice, as prosecutors painstakingly pieced together a narrative of his chilling crimes, leaving no stone unturned. The public's reaction was a mix of relief and revulsion. Relief that a predator was no longer on the loose, and revulsion at the depths of his depravity. Haigh had not only murdered his victims but had tried to erase their existence, a fact that sent shivers down the spines of those who followed the case. On August 10, 1949, Haigh was led to the gallows. His last words were as chilling as his crimes. "I am ready to meet my Maker. Whether my Maker is prepared for the great ordeal of meeting me is another matter." With these words still hanging in the air, the trapdoor beneath him sprung open, and the acid bath murderer was no more. The impact of his crimes, however, lived on. His case served as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity and the lengths some would go to evade justice. It led to advancements in forensic science as investigators were spurred on to develop new methods of uncovering evidence. George Haigh, the acid bath murderer, met his fate at the gallows, but the echoes of his crimes continue to haunt us. His story still sends chills down our spines, reminding us that monsters do exist, not in the pages of fiction, but in the real world, hiding behind the mask of the ordinary. Over half a century later, the chilling tale of George Haigh continues to captivate and horrify. The man known as the acid bath murderer might have met his end in 1949, but his dark deeds live on, casting a long, foreboding shadow over the annals of crime history. Haigh's tale is not just a gruesome account of a serial killer's rampage, it's also a study in the human capacity for evil, a stark reminder of the depths to which a person can sink when consumed by greed and devoid of empathy. His story underscores the importance of vigilance and the relentless pursuit of justice by law enforcement. In the world of forensic science, Haigh's case has been a subject of intense study. His misguided belief that acid could completely dissolve his victims and erase any trace of his crimes has led to significant advancements in forensic pathology. Today, investigators are better equipped to uncover evidence and bring criminals to justice, thanks in part to the lessons learned from this chilling case. Haigh's crimes have also permeated popular culture, inspiring books, plays, and films that explore the mind of this notorious killer. These works serve as a haunting reminder of his heinous acts, ensuring that his victims are not forgotten. Moreover, the legacy of George Haigh serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of trusting appearances. This seemingly ordinary man was able to lure his victims into a deadly trap, demonstrating the importance of skepticism and caution in our interactions with others. As we delve into the darkness, we are reminded of the depths of human depravity and the chilling legacy of George Haigh. His tale is a cautionary reminder that evil can lurk where we least expect it, hidden behind the mask of normality. But it also reassures us that no matter how clever or cunning the criminal, justice has a way of catching up, shining a light into the darkest corners and revealing the truth.